If you're looking up Bluechew side effects before ordering, that usually means you want something that works. But you also want to know what you're putting in your body before committing. I was in the same place when I first started looking into it. I didn't want to jump in without understanding what to expect and how to avoid issues people complain about the most. And before we get into it, if you do end up wanting to try Bluechew, I'll put a link in the description, and you can scan the QR code on the screen. Either one will take you to the best price available. Before you're prescribed anything, Bluechew has you go through a medical questionnaire that's reviewed by a licensed provider in your state. It's not a click and order setup. You answer questions about your health, medications, and history, and they approve your dose and option to make sense for you. Side effects with Bluechew usually depend on which option you're using, because they offer several different medications and strengths. That's one of the things I actually like. You're not locked into a single formula if something doesn't agree with you. The most common options are Sildenafil and Tadalafil. Sildenafil tends to be the one where people notice the classic ED medication side effects, like a mild headache, some facial warmth, even a stuffy nose. Nothing extreme, but it can be annoying. If you already know you're sensitive to ED medication, starting with a lower dose here usually makes things a little bit smoother. Tadalafil feels gentler to a lot of people. The side effects are usually milder, though some people notice lower back tightness or even light flushing. That lined up with my experience, staying hydrated made a noticeable difference for me, especially early on. Bluechew also has combination option. VMax combines Sildenafil with Tadalafil, and it's strong. It works well, but it's also where you're most likely to notice side effects if your body doesn't love higher doses. That's not where I'd start, unless you already know that standard ED medication haven't caused any issues for you. On the other end, daily Tadalafil is more of a steady routine. Since it's mostly the same dose every day, most people find the side effects are usually lighter once their body adjusts. If you want support without the rush feeling, this tends to be the easier to tolerate long term. Vardenafil is another option they offer, and for some people, it causes fewer issues than Sildenafil. It kicks in quickly and feels clean, especially if Sildenafil has given you any headaches or sinus pressure in the past. Then there's VMax, which combines Vardenafil and Tadalafil, and it's one of the stronger options. But in my experience, it's still manageable. I've been using VMax personally, and the side effects are pretty mild for me. Mostly a bit of sinus pressure and facial warmth, but only the first couple of times. The only time I've had a real headache is when I took a higher dose without drinking enough water. Once I paid attention to hydration, it stopped being an issue for me. One thing Bluechew does well is flexibility. If something doesn't feel right, you can adjust the dose or switch the formulas pretty easily. I reached out to their support once and asked whether if I should stay where I am or change it up, and they handled it without any hassle. From what I've seen, a lot of the bad reviews online come from people who have been jumping straight into the strongest option instead of easing in. If you're worried about side effects, the safest approach is starting slower and then adjusting from there. If you're sensitive to meds, Tadalafil or daily Tadalafil usually makes the most sense. If you want something fast but not too intense, Vardenafil is a solid middle ground. If you already know your body handles ED medication well and you want something stronger, that's where Max or VMax makes the most sense. And if you want something simple and consistent, daily Tadalafil is usually the easiest long-term option. And if you want to try Bluechew for yourself, the link below or the QR code on the screen will take you to the best price they offer. And if you've had any experiences with ED medication or side effects before, feel free to leave them in the comments. That kind of feedback really helps the other people figure out where to begin.